adventure in trying to do a trippy spin in real life. So last time I did a few trippy spins in real life around a light pole. So the light pole was about 28 feet or so. So two problems came up. When I tried to attempt to do the trippy spin, what would happen is I would lose altitude and immediately hitting the ground about a quarter turn in. And that's not good. Most likely that was due to not having the right pitch. So even though I had a lot of thrust, the drone would go right into the ground. So what I need to work on is how to enter the trippy spin. Let's go back a bit and take a look at how moving through the air with a drone works. So when you're moving through the air, you have to actually pitch the drone forward. And in fact, the camera is already set at an angle, so when you pitch the drone forward, you're actually trying to level out the camera so that you see where you're going. But as you start to pick up speed, you actually have to do some adjustments. So the first one that you have to do is adjust your pitch. So you actually have to start to pitch down more so that you will not end up flying high up into the air. And you're doing this as you adjust your throttle. So as you're increasing your throttle, trying to go faster, you have to pitch down. And then you got to balance those out so that you stay level. While practicing to do the trippy spin, I decided to try different ways of getting into the trippy spin. You know, first thing that comes to mind is try to be perpendicular to the ground and then execute the spin by moving the sticks opposite to each other. That can work. Problem is you can quickly lose altitude because you have pretty much no lift anymore. Then I decided to try like rolling into an inverted position and then executing the trippy spin, and that kind of works, but again that just takes way too much time to get inverted, and by then you've hit the ground. One thing that did work was doing a split S into a trippy. It's a partial split S. And that works really well, but it's not very effective for objects that are below 30 feet. So you'll just end up into the ground doing that. But it is effective, but it's just not good for short objects. Then finally, in what you'll see in this video is when I come across pretty much flying backwards. And what you're gonna see is that right when you start going backwards, so you could fly past your target, and right when you start to fly backwards, that's when you will move the sticks opposite each other, and then it will start to do the trippy spin. Because if you're flying backwards, that means now you have the right pitch and you have the right throttle. Executing the trippy spin then is the perfect time so that you can maintain your altitude. The next problem was, even when I could do a trippy spin, I wasn't keeping the object or the target in the same place. So the target should be usually near the top of the screen, but it would come out of the screen, and that's not good. So that's I'm not locked onto my target. So to do that, you have to use the pitch. So the pitch, if you pitch back more, that can bring you closer to the target, and then you just gotta balance the pitch and the throttle and keep the target in view. And the next thing is the throttle. I've seen if you increase the throttle, that tends to move your drone upwards, and if you decrease the throttle, your drone usually starts to drop down. This really is learning how to balance your pitch and your throttle, but at the same time it's like flying backwards. doing a trippy spin, we're not going forward, we're actually going backward. So a lot of people have said that the trippy spin is more of an inverted orbit. What you'll see from this video, while I was trying to practice this, I came across something. I think the trippy spin is more of a backwards orbit. So what I mean is you're flying backwards doing an orbit. When I get into a position to do the trippy spin and I end up flying the ground, that is very similar to as if you were trying to fly forward and you increase your speed but you did not adjust your pitch down, so you could end up flying high up. So if you're flying forward and you increase your pitch, the quadcopter will actually try to go into the ground. So you also have to adjust your throttle. You have to increase it a bit at some mix between the throttle and the pitch in order to keep the quadcopter level. So when I execute a trippy spin, I'm actually flying backwards. So if I pitch back too much, then the drone will tend to want to go into the ground. So the only way to compensate for that is to increase the throttle or make sure you get the right mix between the throttle and the backwards pitch. So that's why I'm saying trying to do a trippy spin is more like trying to fly backwards in a circle on orbit.